Chevy SparkSparkSparkSpaSpark. Chevy SparkSparkSparkSpark. Hey y'all, welcome back to Doug's Cars. Something a little bit different today. I was handed the key to this Chevy Spark, which has got a blade type key actually. Fancy. Hey, when you got the opportunity to try something new and different, why not? Because it's a rental car, and everybody knows rental cars are the fastest cars in the world. All right, so you definitely have to unlock it this way. Oh, I should probably move this seat back because I don't know if I'm going to fit in here. So what have we got here? We've got, oh hey, there's a little tiny bit of soft touch trim here on the, but everything else is super scratchy. But that's to be expected. This is about one of the cheapest cars you can buy in the US. This is about $15,000 for this car. And I mean, you can tell it's an inexpensive car. You've got just a slit here in the carpet for the gas door release. Oddly enough, you do have automatic headlights and a lot of blank switches. You've got a multifunction steering wheel, which is kind of neat. You've got one armrest, one only. If you are the passenger, you're just gonna have to cross your arms and hope that you don't get tired. Decent sized screen, manual AC, which you're not allowed to smoke in here because it's a rental car. I suppose otherwise that's okay. And yeah, well, you even got little tweeters up here to go with the door speakers down here. Decent sized door bins, but again, super scratchy plastic. Let's take a look in the back. It's got this thing always has bothered me when the door handle is like in a weird spot, but okay. Then you've got one cup holder. Definitely only two people can sit back here, but I don't know. I mean, I have a BMW i3 and I swear I've got more backseat legroom than this. There's no way I could get in here comfortably. Yeah, look, this, I can't even get my leg in that far. So I'm not even gonna be able to do my Doug DeMuro impression, and he, if anything, is maybe 1 inch taller than me. So I noticed that it actually has airbags back here in the back on the side, but since you've only got 6 inches of car behind you, I think you'd want them in the back. Seat does fold down. There's some groceries in there, and you can see that's a pretty minute little trunk. I have a buddy with a modern Fiat 500, and that is about the same size in the back. Button here, the blank must be for the trunk. Let's see. Oh yeah, so it does have a little popper there. Actually, the trunk is fairly deep. It does have a tiny little cargo thing that doesn't pull up on straps, but it's fairly deep, but and it's got a light. So I mean, yeah, it's a small car. It's an inexpensive car. There's not a whole lot to complain about here. It's not bad. It's not great. I wish we got a Dacia Sandero here, because they're really cool, and nobody would know what they are. Under the hood, we've got a tiny battery and a 1.4 liter Ecotec 4-cylinder, tiny little 1.4 liter engine, tiny air filter, fairly clean under here. This car is of course not very old. There's the oxygen sensor right there in front, easy to access. Oil right there. Everything looks pretty accessible. Let's see, what's this sound like when it closes? That actually makes a pretty nice noise when it closes, surprisingly. 98 horsepower. Now, normally I would say, I don't drive cars with 98 horsepower or anything under 100. I haven't driven that in forever, but I'd be lying because I drove a Series 3 Land Rover the other day, and those have like 60 horsepower on a good day. But normally, nothing here has that kind of horsepower, and way more. Most of these here have double, except for the Wagoneer, of course. All right, let's hop in and take the Spark for a little drive, see what it's like. Let me get you all mounted up. Okay, driving the Chevy Spark. Oh wait, that's too Doug DeMuro. Backing up the Chevy Spark and now putting it into gear. This is a CVT, so the engine revs never really change. Actually, the RPMs are staying right at 2,000 right now as I accelerate, which is just weird. I'm not used to driving a CVT. I'm not a huge fan of them, but then again, in a car like this, you gotta have a manual. I don't even know if they offer one in this anymore. I mean, nobody buys manuals anymore, which is crazy. But in a car like this, exactly what you want. And hard, scratchy plastics everywhere. But again, it's a $15,000 car, which actually sounds like quite a bit of money for one of the cheapest cars you can buy. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that these were like $9,000 cars. But hey, that's what they cost now with all the safety equipment and everything that you have to have added into it. You know, the seat's not bad. The armrest actually, it doesn't appear to be adjustable, and it doesn't go down any further, and it feels like it's up at an angle. So when I actually use it as an armrest, my elbow, of course I'm tall too, so my arm is long, my elbow feels like I'm sitting this way because it's up so high, and it's very narrow, so your arm easily just does this, which, this is not a long trip car. I mean, this is perfect for bumming around the city, going to the store, but I can't imagine this would be a blast on the interstate, and you've got, you know, 18-wheelers going past you and all kinds of other crazy large things rocking you, especially with the, you know, the 98 horsepower CVT probably is not going to be the best thing either. But yeah, that armrest is driving me nuts. So fairly good gauge layout. Again, it does have a tachometer, which is not really useful in a car with a CVT because it doesn't change much, and this person just pulled right out in front of me. That was great. So yeah, the brakes work. Oh wow, it just went real noisy, and nothing much happened because of the CVT after I hit the brakes. You know, everything, you know, it's fairly standard GM. These of course are made in South Korea by Daewoo and sold as Opals, as Vauxhalls, as Holdens, all over the world in different names. This is the Chevy SparkSparkSparkSpark. So good luck getting that out of your head. I apologize. I don't. It's a fairly competent car. I'm enjoying it. The steering is nice. It handles fine. Again, for the price, if you want a new car with a decent warranty, this is probably going to be better than like a Mitsubishi Mirage. I've heard horror stories about those, which are, if anything, cheaper than this. I can hear my friend's Easy Pass sliding around on the console down here because there's nothing soft about any of the plastic interior trim except for this little tiny bit here. And of course, it's just sitting in front of the cup holders and just sliding around every time you touch the brakes. Normally that obviously would be attached to the windshield, but when you pull it out of your car that's in the shop and put it in your rental, you know, there's no little thingies to, what are they, Velcro? The things that stick to the windshield. So yeah, you know, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are great. You've got to plug your phone in to do that, of course, but a lot of cars still have plug-in required ones. I've been looking at some aftermarket stereos for my town car that have Apple CarPlay, and to get one that actually is wireless is almost twice as expensive, it seems, than one that you plug your phone into. And I don't know if it's worth going there for that kind of money. I'm on a really bumpy road right now, so I just want to feel what it feels like. You know, it's not bad, it's not noisy, it's not super crashy, and this is a bad road. Really, it's terrible. I don't know if you can tell from me jouncing around in here or sliding off of the armrest. It's just weird. It's like it's not far forward enough and it's not wide enough, but there is an armrest, so you give them credit. But then again, it's not really that helpful because my arm is up so high, and I'm going to keep harping on this because it's annoying. And this is why I wouldn't buy this car, is because after 3 minutes driving this armrest drives me nuts. And yeah, I didn't buy a Land Rover Discovery when they were fairly new because the windshield header was like here, and at every traffic light I had to sit and look like this because I couldn't see when the light would change color. And I knew that that would last me like 3 days, and then I'd return the vehicle in a huff. So in this car, it's this armrest. Full throttle acceleration with the CVT. Hey, it went up to $5 grand, 5,500. So it made a lot of noise. It got us up to about 40 there. Which may or may not be faster than I should be going right now, but it moved. I can't imagine what this would be like with 4 people, and you really couldn't put much luggage in here with 4 people, but I don't think it would get out of its way very well. But again, it's a city car. You're not gonna wanna drive this to California. If you do, more power to you. I hope that you don't mind the weird armrest. Another super bumpy road here I usually avoid driving on because it's terrible. And honestly, for 17,000 miles, there are no squeaks or rattles in this car, which I actually would expect because everything, all the plastics are hard and scratchy, and then you think they squeak against each other when they rub against each other going over bumps. So this is a pretty well screwed together car. It is tiny, so there's less parts that can actually move and squeak. But I appreciate the fact that it is still squeak-free after being used for 17,000 miles as the fastest car in the world, the rental car. This one, however, may not actually live up to that name because, of course, it has 98 horsepower and it's the size of a mosquito. It probably darted in and out of traffic pretty well, but the tires are so small and narrow, that you're not gonna, this is not gonna have crazy good handling, and you're not gonna want to be whipping around places when there are much larger vehicles next to you. Now, in other countries where this is sold, this is more of a normal size for a car, but here, this would fit in the back of a lot of cars that are commonly sold. So, all in all, it's a neat car. But before you go buy one for 15 grand or whatever discounts you can get from GM, try out the armrest, because that's a no-go for me. It's just, it's not adjustable. It's just so weird. It's either up or down, and then when it's against the stop, that noise. So I wish I could try out the stereo, but obviously I can't play the stereo while I'm recording because I'd get a copyright claim, and those are no fun. But at least has speakers in the back doors as well, so it's got like 6 speakers. So this is probably part of the LT package. Nice screen. It's very slow. I'm just going to pull back in here in the driveway. I'll grab the camera and show you the gauges and the screen so you can see what that's like. That thing's still sliding around. All right, so again, here's the gauges, 17,000 miles. We've got this stalk here with a menu button, and that does oil life percentage and fuel. So the menu button, notice it says menu, and I'm pressing it. When I mash on the button, it just goes between oil life and miles to go. Obviously, it's fairly low on fuel. Yeah, there's the tach moving. It's got a nice sweep pattern. That's somewhat unusual. All the rest of the stuff is pretty common GM, Chevy. And here's, of course, this is the screen. It's fairly responsive. I played with this car the other day, and it was not as responsive, but I think it's because it was hotter out. And it's 87 today, but yeah, that's moving much better than it was. So I'll give it a plus on that, because the other day it was not as good. And then of course we got the manual controls here, and yeah, you don't need to blow air into the microphone. So that's the Chevy SparkSparkSparkSpaSpark. So if you get one of these as a rental, or if you want to go buy one, remember, I really don't like this armrest. I demonstrated it again, but I've already done it like 9 times. So, but the rest of the car is actually fairly competent for if you want a small city runabout. And I have a small city runabout myself, which happens to be electric. And, a little bit nicer inside, but of course it's several times more expensive when new. When I bought it, it cost the same as this would new. I have plenty of videos about my i3 if you want to watch that. I can link to that above, and you can check those out. Hey, so this was just a quick video. I had a chance to drive this car, and I wanted to make sure to record it because it's a normal car normal people buy. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to turn the AC back up so I can get rid of the sweat that's on my face. Thanks so much for watching Doug's Cars. Please hit subscribe, and you can see cool stuff. You can see regular stuff like this. Sometimes some Land Rovers, sometimes some, other fun things. Thanks so much for watching.